welcome to Fans Without Borders. I'm Brent.
And I'm Ray.
Ray, how you been doing this week?
I have this. I know. I've learned something about myself in the last couple of years, Brent. Is that I am a sucker for really compelling marketing. I actually want to. There's a little voice back in my head that wants to try Uber Eats now. Do you know why?
You should know.
You should know why.
There was an Uber commercial that was amazing. Oh, yes, I do know why. It's the Star Wars, Star Trek, the Mark Hamill, Patrick Stewart commercial. Yes, I had to get there. You didn't warn me ahead of time you were going to talk about this. Yes, that commercial was amazing.
You know what? They did 3. It's a series.
Oh, I only saw one of them. Now I got to find the others.
Well, they only for some reason Nerdist and like some of the others they only posted like the main one where they're like, he's like, "Careful, Hamill, Daddy's not here to save you." Oh, I am my daddy. Coming in? What? I don't think I got that right.
It's so good.
And no one has mentioned the fact that Hamill, the American, is holding a regular bat, a baseball bat. Stewart, the Brit, is holding a cricket bat. No one has mentioned that. I don't know why no one has brought that up, but it's fantastic. But no, what it is
brilliant.
The other versions they're playing like a game. Like there's one, and it's like the idea is that one of them is talking off camera, like breaking the fourth wall to us, telling us what they're ordering, while the other takes that opportunity to beat them in a game that they're playing. And so in Hamill's case, he gets beat at air hockey and complains that he wasn't ready, and Stewart says, "Would you like some cheese to go with that wine?" Right? And then the other one is Hamill beating Stewart at Connect 4. And he's like, "That's Sir Patrick Stewart." And Hamill's like, "Oh, sir." Which is hilarious.
I need to see these other two.
It's hilarious because for those of us that are DC fans, he went Joker for a little bit. Mm-hmm. You can hear it when he's in his voice. It's like, "Oh, I hear a bit of Joker in there." It's awesome. Dude, it's Luke Skywalker and Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Yeah, so freaking Uber Eats. I'm actually thinking about it.
You should do it just to support that marketing campaign. Just do it once.
Oh, it's awful. I hate how marketing campaigns work. Like I'm that person. I'm the awful person that just like all that crap works. How do you hit me? That's seriously. It's Luke Sky. It's 2 of my favorite characters from 2 of my favorite franchises, Star Wars and Star. That's not fair. It's dirty pool.
It's brilliant, is what it is.
It is. No, they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. And I know that a ton of nerds, just like me, already have ordered Uber Eats since that happened. I know they've gotten an influx of business. I'm waiting for that article where they're like, "Our sales boosted 300% because all these comic book nerds or Star Trek nerds and Star Wars nerds started ordering from Uber Eats." But yeah, so that was cool. That was the biggest. That just popped into my head. I was like, "What are we going to talk about?" Yes, that's a thing. It's totally a thing. I don't know how have you been?
Good. It's been busy. We've had lots of news this week. It seems like every other day or whatever, something new's being dropped. And you keep texting me and scaring me with new. Like every time I see you drop a link in our group chat, I'm like, "Crap, what happened now?" Because like you're the one that mentions this bad news. You're the one that mentions that bad news. Not that it's your news. You're just the first person to see it and post it. Every time I see you texting that thread, I'm like, "What is it this time? Oh, this is good news." All right.
So I'm not gonna lie. There is a little bit of like it. Sometimes, like I remember there one of them. What was it? I forget what it was. But it was. I literally posted something like seconds before Scott did, and you went, "Ray wins."
Yes, I did.
I'm not gonna lie. There was a little part of me that was like,
because I was reading yours when his came in.
Well, I had sent it, and then like as soon as I sent, I heard a ding, and I'm like, "Oh, Scott saw it. There it is."
It was the additional photography stuff.
Oh,
related
yes,
to the Snyder Cut. That particular one was.
Yeah. Which that whole we'll talk about that.
You sent a link about the Flash and Legends of Tomorrow starting production, and I replied with, "Lord, I thought you were telling me they're canceled."
Yes, we'll talk about that too because the timing of that article Yes, it totally. And to be honest with you, when I first saw it, my part of my brain was like, "Oh no," because at first you just see Flash and Legends of Tomorrow. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. And then you open it like, oh, they started. Okay, all right, yeah, for sure. But no, we'll get into that as well for sure. Yeah, we've got a decent amount to talk about today.
We do. So we should get to it. Let's remind you we are part of Squadcast Media. We've got Tim and Scott doing DC Film Squadcast. Chris and Jordan are on DC Comics Squadcast. Chris's show, the Horror Comics Podcast, is now officially part of the network. And then, of course, Ray, you're doing DC TV Squadcast. Your latest episode was on Batman 66. What's your next one?
Flash 1990.
So good.
Of course, like scheduling and difficulties on my end as well have kind of push that a little bit. But, to be honest with you, like, our schedule for DC TV has changed in the last, like, half a year anyway, with the way that they, not only with the release schedule, but just in the way that we've decided to do episode blocks. So I'd say within the next week or so, stay tuned for that particular episode as we continue our retro path for looking at the history of DC TV Squadcast. Chris, I believe, is joining me for that one, yes.
Perfect.
So... but we have that, and we also want to take a moment to thank all of our supporters on Patreon. We really do appreciate your support. Hope that you are enjoying all of the Patreon content. As far as Squadcast movies goes, our next scheduled release review will be Sin City. That is in the can, but we can also tell you that the six of us did get together, and we made the Batman Returns review happen. We most certainly did.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you without dropping any major hints or spoilers, it was a very different conversation than we had about Batman 89, which we expected. We thought that was going to be the case. Totally.
There was a wide range of opinions about Batman Returns on this movie. Some people wanted to just nitpick little tiny things, and other people were just like, screw it all, give it a pass, I don't care, I like the movie. We had the whole gamut of opinions on this one, so it was definitely a fun one to do. I look forward to listening back to that when Tim drops it.
Yeah, definitely. Getting the six of us together is awesome. But yeah, the Sin City one will be coming up first, and then that one. So hopefully within the next week or so, those will pop up. And then there's other Patreon content as well. At some point, Scott and I have both watched Enola Holmes for Netflix. Now it's just a matter of
don't tell me. I'll listen to at least the opening of your review, because I want to watch that one, so I won't listen to the whole thing.
I can tell you, because I posted this on Vero, because I watched it last night. He watched it the night before, so the two of us just have to come together at a convenient time and record a Fans Without Borders Plus episode for it. I can tell you what my Vero and Twitter reaction to it was.
Go ahead.
Which was, I'll need sequels. Thank you.
Okay. That's good enough endorsement for me. I'm intrigued at the concept of the movie. Henry Cavill's in it. That should be cool to see.
Oh, I think you dig it. I think it's in your wheelhouse.
It's definitely one I've added to my queue. I just need to. I've still been with a lot of my free time playing certain little Avengers games, so I need to sit down and actually watch some stuff before. I did watch something for an upcoming Marvel Squadcast Patreon because I had the chance to fit it in, and I wanted to make sure I fit it in, and that's now watched. But other than that, I've been all strictly the games. So
understandable, because I heard still heard great things about that particular game. But yeah, so there's that, and then tons of other Patreon content as well, other conversations and other things, Scott Shots, the Comics Corner, and just random discussions that we may have from time to time about things as well. So hope everybody's enjoying that, and as always, we cannot thank you enough for your support to the Squadcast Media Network.
Okay, so last Sunday, not doing anything, I'm just playing on my phone, playing this old football game or whatever, and I get this notification through a DM that the WandaVision trailer has dropped. Did this notification have a link with it? No. I'm like, what are you doing? You can't tell me that and not drop a link at the same time. Search it out. Sure enough, it really did. During the Emmys, Marvel just up and decided, hey, here, we're going to give you just a little snack of what's to come, and here's the WandaVision trailer. And I got to tell you, Ray, I really liked it a lot. This is not my most anticipated Marvel Disney Plus project, but I really liked what I saw. I really like there's theories I'm seeing about the footage, and if even half of them are true, I like the direction of it. I have a few thoughts I want to go to, but Ray, what did you think about the trailer when you saw it?
I'm intrigued. I am. I think the thing that intrigued me the most, and I don't know if we knew this. I mean, we had to have known this because no one acts surprised to see her. Catherine Hahn.
We knew.
As, okay, playing a character, I like this character name for whatever reason, Agatha Harkness.
Maybe. That's who we think she is, including myself. She's listed in IMDb as Agnes, and I saw some closed captions of Agnes, but I do think she is going to be Agatha Harkness, but I think this Agnes character is going to be part of this world, this hallucination that Wanda and Vision are in. Do you know who Agatha Harkness is? I know what I'm asking, but...
No, when at the night of the trailer, I went on the wiki and I got a bit of a primer for it. So, yes, she is something of an antagonist / mentor to Wanda, I guess. And
not just Wanda, but she actually nannied for a while for Franklin Richards, the eldest son of the eldest child of Reed and Sue. Yeah, right. She's a witch. In the comics, Wanda's powers, they're mutant based, which I think will ultimately get retconned in the MCU. But regardless, they're mutant based. But it's like her mutant ability was to tap into magic. Okay, she is still also has magical based abilities. As a result, Agatha Harkness helped her learn to use some of this magic and stuff. So people do think that is probably going to be her. You see Kathy Hahn in the trailer several different times. Once, like when they're in the old 50s style sitcom, you see her. She says like, "This will be a gas." Like that's her. You see her in like a 80s workout attire. Looks like she's doing a Richard Simmons video or something. And then you also see her dressed as a witch when the Vision goes to her and she tells Vision, she says, "Am I dead?" And when he says, "Why would you say that?" She goes, "Well, because you are."
That's the scene that stuck out to me. Yes.
So many things about that. It's like, right, like one, Vision has the Mind Stone. Like he's wearing it. So it's like Wanda knows. She knows the Mind Stone was destroyed. Does he? I'm wondering if part of this show, we know part of the show's in her head, basically. I'm wondering, is part of it also in his? Is like he being put back together? It kind of looked like in Infinity War at the Wakanda battle, it looks like Shuri is almost like doing a save all her work before she got attacked by a Corvus Glaive. And so it's like, like if you go back and look at it, like she clearly does something at the very last moment before she closes it down and turns around to attempt to defend herself. And so it's like, are people taking that work trying to put him back together? And so now his memories are messed up. Does he even know he doesn't have the Mind Stone anymore? Does he even remember? Because that save point, if for lack of a better phrase, would have been before she killed him. He may not even know that she killed him. And then he came back, and then he was killed again. He may not have those memories. So just all kinds of questions there. Did you catch the woman who looked like she was blasting out of the hallucination into where it was like a bright field into darkness with like all these like secret agent people looking around? Did you happen to catch that?
Not ringing a bell.
It was Teyonah Parris is her name, is the actress's name. She's playing Monica Rambeau, which is a name that should ring a bell.
Yes, that's from Captain Marvel.
Yes, she was a kid in Captain Marvel. This is the adult Monica Rambeau. Important to note that she does become a superhero at times. She has the Captain Marvel name for a while. She also goes by Spectrum and one or two Photon maybe. She has a couple different times, different powers. So, or not different powers, but different identities. So it wouldn't surprise me to see her getting some powers. Chris Boga said on Marvel Alliance that he thinks that those other people around her are going to be related to SWORD, the space version of S.H.I.E.L.D., for lack of a better phrase.
Which that's the speculation of where Fury is, right?
Yes, a lot of us think that's where Fury was at the end of Far From Home. I think that makes a lot of sense, and there have been rumors of SWORD's involvement in the show. I'll just put it that far. I don't want to go further than that, but there have been rumors, unconfirmed rumors of SWORD's involvement with the show. If you look at IMDb, you'll actually see someone's listed as part of SWORD, but it is important to remember, just like with the Agnes thing, IMDb is able to be edited by users, so you can't take it as gospel.
IMDb, I've heard it called the Wikipedia for like movie.
It feels that way to me. It feels that way for movies before they come out. Once things come out, then it's a little more solid. Once things come out,
they get updated. Yeah.
So all in all, I'm excited. Charles Murphy's Multiverse looked at the source code for the website, and it points to November 27th as a potential release date. It's currently marked as a release date, which would be a little weird because that would be overlapping with Mandalorian. But if you look at the source code for other Disney Plus shows, it matches up. So whether or not that date remains, at some point that was probably, it could be a placeholder, but that is a spot where the release date is held. So I've got it tentatively marked on my calendar as possible release date, but I wanted to acknowledge at least that much.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm. It's one of those trailers where I have questions and I'm intrigued by it. Because I want to see these questions answered, and a lot of it is the stuff that you've covered. Correct me if I'm wrong. Vision wasn't dusted. Vision was actually, so they still have his body.
His body, minus the big gash in the head where Thanos ripped out the Mind Stone.
Right. So we're not talking about a case where his body would need to be completely rebuilt. It really just needs to be repaired.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're right about Shuri's save all your work idea, that could totally be the case. Yeah, that it's going to be. I'm curious to see how all that shakes out, and also how it fits into Wanda being in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because there's going to be some ties into that. And you bring up the release date about WandaVision, and that's a really good segue into this next bit, because it really does appear, actually no, I think it's official, provided that this release date holds, this is the only MCU content we're going to get in 2020.
It is, but it will keep the streak alive of MCU content every year since the off year between Iron Man and Iron Man 2, basically.
So here's the funny part about that. So we were talking about this off air about the difference between a winning streak and an unbeaten streak.
Yes. This is an unbeaten streak.
This is an unbeaten streak because it's not a movie.
It's not a movie.
It's
not a movie. It is an unbeaten streak. So yeah, I guess we should mention Black Widow has officially been moved from November 6th of this year to May 7th of 2021. Am I personally super confident it's coming out May 7th, 2021? No, I'm not. But that is the current date. And with that, they also bumped Eternals from next February to next November. And then Shang-Chi from May 7th, 2021, the new Black Widow date, has bumped back to July 9th. But the interesting thing there, like the biggest note there is Shang-Chi is now scheduled before Eternals. And some people still think we're going to get Falcon and Winter Soldier before Black Widow. I am not convinced of that. I will be very happy if we do. But it's clear that, and really if you go back and look at the MCU for the Infinity Saga, some of the movies you have to watch in a specific order for continuity reasons. Others you really don't. For example, Guardians 1 and Guardians 2. They technically both take place in 2014. You could watch them at any time you wanted, and it doesn't break any continuity anywhere.
Just so long as you watch both of them before Infinity War.
Yes.
That's really the only rule that you got to follow for continuity.
And so, like, if you're doing a chronological watch, you watch those two movies back to back anyway. So it's like, WandaVision now being before Black Widow, was it their original plan? Obviously not. Does it matter? Again, obviously not, or there's no way Feige allows it to happen. And he has the clout to stop that from happening. So the release dates are what they are. I wish Black Widow was doing premiere access. I think, we don't know officially still how Mulan did. This is at least evidence that they don't think it's the right... I mean, this just says they don't think it's the right move for Black Widow. Is it just because Mulan, quote-unquote, underperformed? We don't know. Do they think Black Widow will just do so much? I mean, Black Widow is always going to make more money than Mulan, if we're realistic. But I don't know. I wish it was coming to Disney Plus Premiere Access. It's not. Whatever. Is what it is.
So I do think Mulan spooked them. I do. I do think Mulan scared them a bit. I don't know that it should have totally scared them, because I feel like Mulan has a host of other factors.
It does.
With respect to this whole controversy about where they shot it in the province in China and
things related to Hong Kong and what the lead actress talked about. There are several reasons why Mulan could have underperformed that are not strictly this. But regardless, Black Widow, unless something changes, because there's still an Investor Day, which we thought was October 7th, but now that's been debunked, so we don't know when it's going to be. It is possible they'll still... We can't say it's impossible they won't do this. But when Mulan got to Disney Premiere Access, it was delayed without a date being given. Black Widow was given a date. So as of right now, I fully expect to be seeing... Maybe I'll see if my sister wants to go watch the movie with me, which she doesn't watch any of these, but it comes out on her birthday now. So maybe I'll see if she wants to go watch a Marvel movie for her birthday.
Now you have been to the theater. You went to the
Once.
theater
Yes.
once. You went and saw New Mutants?
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. So your theater experience in the middle of the pandemic was...
Okay. I waited till 5 minutes before going in, looked at the seating charts available to me. It's the recliner stadium, so you're physically farther away from the people in front and behind you. I sat in the very back row. I booked the seat one off of the corner, and then I actually sat in the corner just to guarantee me one extra seat of space. There was 2 other people in the back row in the opposite corner. I felt weird, maybe just a little uncomfortable because it was just the whole thing, you know, you're like, how much am I risking right now by being here? But there was hand sanitizer everywhere. The only worker that I interacted with was the person who scanned my phone to let me in, and he had a big plexiglass thing blocking through, and I just kind of held my phone up. And so, honestly, it was okay. If it was okay, but it's so odd. Tenet right now proves, like, theaters are not ready for these movies in America. I know they are in the rest of the world, and the rest of the world is getting screwed because America can't get their crap together as far as this goes. I totally get all that. I hear you. But in America, it's not ready yet, like, for this kind of movie. Yeah. So, for me, selfishly, am I upset that I don't get to watch Wonder Woman in, you know, a few weeks? Am I upset that I don't get to watch Black Widow in a month or whatever? Yeah, I'm annoyed at that. It is what it is.
It is what it is. I will tell you that I am more confident in this May 7th date, May 7th, 2021 date, because, you know, I remember when this all first started, one of the biggest moves that, like, really, like, raised our eyebrows was when F9 got moved a year. Mm-hmm. Like, Universal went ahead and said, screw it. We're throwing this. I had
just started a Fast and Furious rewatch, too. I was, like, 3 movies into it. I was going chronological order. I was, like, 3 movies into it. Now I just put it on hold. I'm like, I'll wait till closer.
Yeah, so, and listen, I still need them to tell me how the hell Han is alive. I'm still waiting for that. But that was a big deal at the time, because we were like, whoa, they just skipped a year.
Give them credit. They were right to do it.
Yes, because that's now what Disney has done. That's now what the MCU has done with Black Widow. Was literally gone a year and a week ahead. It was originally May 1st of this year. It's now May 7th of next year.
I know. I don't want them to go to New Mutants territory and start. I don't want Black Widow to be the new mutant, the new Mutants.
You know how they've avoided that though? Because they haven't done. Well, because at first it was May. They've only had 2 changes. They went from May 1st to November, and now they've gone from November to May. Yep. That's the smart way to do it. Yep. They haven't blown a ton of money on 3 or 4 different marketing campaigns. They haven't confused the fans or the general public with release dates out of nowhere that keep getting kicked. This is how Warner Brothers, take notes. This is actually how you should do this. Yeah. Because now the Marvel fans are not confused. And listen, they would have gone to see it anyway. I get that. But still, there's no false hype with this. It's like, okay, here to here, and now here to here. 2 date changes. And quite honestly, by May, depending on who you talk to, all indications are that some form of vaccine will exist. Whether, who has access to it, and how wide that access is, that's the speculation. We don't know that. But I will tell you that starting on October 9th, theaters in my state, Michigan, will reopen. I do know that for a fact. That came down a couple of days ago. I am sticking to what I said. I'm not comfortable until medical science catches up with the vaccine and whatnot. So if Wonder Woman sticks to Christmas, okay, I'll have a decision to make. Whatever, we'll see how that goes. But the point is, Marvel doing this with these release dates, it probably is what they've essentially done the same with Eternals. Eternals essentially moved a year as well, and that's another case where they only have, as a Marvel fan, you only have 2 date changes.
Did you see Kamon and Dolly's tweet on this, on the Eternals?
I didn't. No.
Okay, so you know how I've kind of expressed some annoyance at fandom, them having Gal Gadot, and it was them having her saying, we can't wait for you to see it on the big screen. We're so excited for you to see it just October or whatever. He tweets out, this is the right move. I can't want people to go see a movie in theaters when I'm not willing to go to theaters myself. I like that he said that. I like that he tweeted that. And that doesn't ring to me like something that he was told to say. And yeah, of course, Disney is punting it because they think they can make more money. Obviously, that's true. I'm not saying their motivations are all, altruistic or whatever. No, they're trying to do what will make them the most money. I just liked his response to it of theaters aren't safe yet, so I'm not going, so I can't ask you to go see my movie. I love that response.
And it's very consistent with him.
With him,
like
yeah.
that's if you follow his Twitter, if you see any of the stuff he tweets about, that's a Kamal Nanjiani thing to say. Like that's within his wheelhouse. And he's not the only Marvel actor that's like. If Mark Ruffalo was involved, he'd have tweeted something like that, right? Or some of the others. I'm drawing a blank on a couple, but he's the other
Chris
one that
Evans,
I know was really
for starters.
Chris Evans. Yes, he's been in. We haven't talked about this in the show.
We're moving past that. I'm just saying Chris Evans would have tweeted the same kind of thing. Yes, Chris Evans had his leak, whatever. It is what it is.
Right.
Again, which is apparently my saying today. But let's touch on a couple other Marvel topics super quick. Not a lot to say on these because we don't really know specifics. But one, we have our first announcement. We have our first news for a new MCU property coming since the Spider-Man deal got extended a year ago today as of when we record this. Nick Fury is getting a Disney Plus show. We don't know what it's going to be called. We don't know, is it just going to be called Nick Fury Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury Agent of S.W.O.R.D., whatever. We don't know what the title is, but a Nick Fury-led Disney Plus show is coming. There has not been an MCU installment announcement since whatever Spider-Man 3 is going to be called. I still think You Can't Come Home Again. I'm dying on that hill till I'm proven otherwise. And prior to that, it was all the Disney Plus shows at San Diego Comic-Con and D23. So pretty exciting. I'm definitely up for a Nick Fury show. There's been all this debate now in the Marvel circles. Is it going to be a prequel? Is it going to be present day, like picking up where he left off at the end of Far From Home? Personally, I prefer present day. I'm not going to cry too much if it's a prequel. What do you think about Nick Fury?
I need more information. I mean, I'm excited. I'm intrigued, I guess, is a better way to put it, because it's like, a Nick Fury show on Disney Plus. And I'm a Samuel L. Jackson fan, of course. Yes.
How could you not be?
I'm not going to turn down
more Samuel L. Jackson.
Right. No, I'm just not going to do that. Especially, in that role. I do like that role. I mean, you know me. I'm. The biggest thing out of this is, there's that voice in the back of my head that is, hoping that maybe the show can retcon how he lost his eye. That's just my. I
think you're gonna have to live with that one. I don't see that one changing.
No, unfortunately not.
And then this last bit of Marvel news, which we don't know, we have no specifics. I just want to touch on it. Richard E. Grant is confirmed himself. He's going to be in Loki. Current theories are he's going to be playing some kind of older version of Loki. I know him from Downton Abbey. He was also in Logan. You were telling me he was in Frasier and Doctor Who, right?
Yes.
And Star Wars.
Yes. Well, yes. He most recently, you would have seen him in Rise of Skywalker as the Imperial officer that kind of took over after. Well, this is spoilers for people who haven't seen Rise of Skywalker.
You know what? It's long enough. That's on them. Okay. Speak freely.
Yeah, it was on Disney Plus, like early. That's right. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the Imperial officer that pretty much took over for Hux after Hux was demoted / eliminated. So, he you would have seen him there. He's that guy. He's a British that guy for sure. He's been in a ton of stuff over the last 3 or 4 decades. Odds are, if you've watched any television, like you said, Downton Abbey, and like I saw him in Frasier. He was one of Daphne's brothers in the final season. Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. So yeah, I get these are like, and I didn't even know about this. You said he announced it, like he popped up.
Like he tweeted it or put it on Instagram or something.
Yeah, so that's cool. That's cool. So wheels are starting to turn. I think that's the biggest thing we can say is wheels on new stuff is starting to turn. We have not heard much in the way of new Marvel news at all, throughout the pandemic.
The last couple of weeks, there's been quite a bit of actual news. Speaking of Loki, it is back in production now, by the way, just so.
And so is Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yes.
We know that as well. We've seen plenty of set photos of that for anybody that's paid attention to those.
Saw a new one today, actually. Yes.
Yeah. What's her name? Emily Van Camp. She's in that show, isn't she?
Yep.
Yes.
Sharon Carter.
Okay. Yep. Cool. All right. So. Okay. I guess that's it for Marvel.
It is it for
right?
Marvel. We're done.
Cool.
Let's talk some DC because DC wasn't hurting for news this week either.
No, they most certainly weren't. The biggest news, I suppose, and I guess this is news, but like everybody made a bigger deal out of this than I was making, and it's just the official announcement that Zack Snyder's Justice League's additional photography budget is $70 million. And this was like it. Now, okay, Brent, there's a few things surrounding this story. When I first posted this to our group chat, and when Scott first posted it as well, because we both kind of posted it like at the
He
same
second
time.
posted it. You first posted it.
By a few seconds, yes, this is true. But like initially, it was just for information purposes. You dig further into how that article was written by Boris Kitt, and you realize, oh, there's some PR spin on this, and it's sad because it was like the first paragraph or so was about the announcement, and then the rest of it was just Ray Fisher stuff. And it's
I hated the article because the rest of it was they could have said. And there's some questions right now because of the whole Ray Fisher thing and put a link to a different post about it. But no, it's like way to just pump up your word count for SEO or something because they regurgitated the whole Ray Fisher story, which I'm not saying that story should go away, but that didn't feel like the place for it. And so the news is cool. 70 million. It's what? The last number I heard was 30 million. And then an executive saying, oh, I wish it was only 30 million. I don't remember who said it. And then I've heard mixed reports on if there actually would be additional photography or not. Cool, additional photography, that's great. Travis wanted to know what we think they're going to be shooting. Personally, I think it's going to be scenes to help connect between the 4 episodes because the movie was never designed as an episodic format originally. So I think it's going to be connective tissue with an outside chance of seeds for the future. I know I am not convinced. I'm not starting any hashtags or anything like that, but I'm not convinced that this is the last Zack Snyder directed DC property we are going to see in this universe. And maybe a little bit of seed dropping for the future is also in there. I have no rumors to base that on, just my own speculation.
There's a growing sentiment that you don't spend $70 million just for one property. And that's where a lot of the discussion about this really came out. All these people, like there was a lot of hand-wringing, unfortunately, about, oh my goodness, they're spending $70 million. And I saw too many people on Twitter, and again, the rude awakening when this thing actually drops is going to be amazing because you're going to see a lot of people that are going to go, holy crap, this isn't what we thought it was going to be. And then you're going to see a ton of people doing mental gymnastics trying to justify their statement that they're making now that all this is reshoots to change a few things from what we already saw 3 years ago. Those people are going to double down on that ridiculousness, right? But the fact of the matter is this is additional photography, not reshoots. That's very different. Additional photography is pretty much everything that you just said, Brent. And that's what I expect this to be. I expect this to be things that will flesh it out and make it more into that 4-hour, that 4-episode series that it was never originally designed to be. That's what I think this is going to be. And so, and to the people, like Collider immediately put out a story that said Henry Cavill has denied that he is involved in these reshoots. Yeah, from an interview that you did with him for Enola Holmes before they told us that $70 million was being spent on it and reshoots were starting soon.
And he, somewhere I read, like, he didn't want the press circuit for Enola Holmes to become Superman talk.
Right.
So it's like,
sold.
Plus, didn't Jason Momoa deny being Aquaman? Are we still, I mean, that's what they do. They deny until they're allowed to confirm. That's
totally. So that's neither here nor there. Whatever.
Any denial we get, you have to understand might actually be true. Like, in this case, like a denial is not a hard fast. It's absolutely not happening until the project is out, right? It's still so. Yeah, Henry Cavill, if they do reshoots, he's probably going to be involved. Or additional photography, he's probably going to be involved.
I don't see how he wouldn't be. As far as like speculating definitively what it's going to be, I'm really only willing to go as far as you have in terms of saying that it'll be things to flesh it out into a series. I don't know if it's going to be, I don't know how far in the future it's going to be. I think that there is a legitimate, I think the people that think that 70 million means more, I think there's a very legitimate and logical case for that. I do.
Yeah, they're probably setting up a bunch of Green Lantern movies. I mean, what else would you do? So,
You know what, man? I mean, if you hear that Ryan Reynolds, if we hear any smoke with Ryan Reynolds or anything like that, because that's back on the table thanks to another piece of news that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, like that's at the most I will say yes. It's to flesh out what they're doing into a series. As far as the future, I still think a great deal of that future depends on the reception that it gets on HBO Max, which means everybody watch the damn thing when it comes out. Like, subscribe to HBO Max, push their numbers up, get it going, make it the signature show, like The Mandalorian is for Disney Plus, right? You have to get it to that level or higher to guarantee that we will get more of that. So we'll see how that goes. But we have that, and then in addition to that, and this was really out of left field. People did not see this coming at all. I certainly didn't see it coming. No. HBO Max is doing a Peacemaker show. Now, who is Peacemaker?
The douchey Captain America.
The douchey Captain America, played by John Cena.
I love that so much.
In the James Gunn's upcoming The Suicide Squad movie. Now, you know what is... Okay. So many reactions to this on Twitter, and the one that really like just kind of fried me was just all the... Like, what... this new content, new DC Extended Universe content for HBO Max in the works.
Born from a creator's vision, which I'm going to say it is what DC fans claim is the utmost important thing and have for the last few years. I'm sorry, I had to say it.
And yet, most of my Twitter feed was just littered with, Where's the Black Canary show? Where's another Superman movie? Where's this? Where is that? Guys, you are killing me with this. You are killing me with this. I'm sorry. Why? This is why we can't have nice things. This is why we can't ever be happy about anything. New DCEU content. New content. Listen, I don't care if you like John Cena or not. I don't care if you like James Gunn or not. I don't care. Whatever. If you don't have any juice for Peacemaker, fine. Just ignore it and move on. Why do you have to get on Twitter and grouse about how no one asked for it? I hate that phrase. No one asked for this. Well, clearly somebody asked for it because it's happening.
Nobody, whatever, asked for Doom Patrol either. And while that may not be my favorite show, it is, I think, DC's most successful television show. I mean, right now, currently, it absolutely is. That's one they have the Max original branding all over. That was the show from DC Universe. And it's the freaking Doom Patrol. Are you kidding? And Peacemaker is right at that same level as far as, like, A character, B-list, whatever. Am I super thrilled about Peacemaker specifically? I don't know. I don't know the character. I've heard of him. I've seen him in the comics. I don't know him. So, for me, it'll be like, if I come out of the Suicide Squad movie and I like him, I'll be like, great, I'm glad I get to see more of him. If I don't like him, okay, whatever. My biggest hang up on this is, I'm like, oh, does this mean we guaranteed know he survives? But no, we don't, because James Gunn later himself said we won't commit to a timeline on this, which I'm thankful for, because you don't go into the Suicide Squad, or at least you shouldn't, knowing that too many people are going to be safe. There's a couple of them. Harley Quinn isn't going anywhere. But I want Peacemaker to be just on the chopping block as much as all those other characters, because that's half the fun of the Suicide Squad. Let's be honest, it's a comic property from James Gunn. I've liked his comic work before. I'm going to definitely be checking this out.
Yeah, well, and again, the fact that it is creator-driven, the story as Gunn tells it, and I'm glad you mentioned he clarified it, because he's gotten a lot more active on Twitter in the last year or so, especially in the last couple of months. He's gotten a lot more active in talking about, because he's in full promotion mode for the Suicide Squad now, which is cool, and I appreciate that, because we've seen a decent amount of stuff from him in terms of videos and the new logos and like marketing stuff. And yes, he has been responding to fans, as he used to do in the past, before his controversy. He's back to doing that now, and he's very conciliatory, and he has a different tone now. There's a much different tone on social media now, but like the story goes that Warner Brothers apparently came to him and said, or I don't know if it was Warner Brothers or it was HBO Max, whoever it was, someone came to him and said, which one of the characters from the movie would you do a series off of? And that was the one that he suggested. He is writing these episodes. He's written all 8 of them, and is going to be directing some of them, which is interesting, because that also tells you that, we already know what Marvel's schedule is going forward, But Guardians Volume 3 is clearly...
It's still out there. He's come out and basically, like I saw another tweet from him, basically, this is not going to interfere with that. So it's like...
He's just doing this first.
The whole Marvel hubbub when he left Guardians 2 happened. And so now we get... Or when he left Guardians 3, when he was fired from Guardians 3. And now we get a Suicide Squad movie from him. We get a Peacemaker show from him. And he's still going to be doing Guardians 3. It's like, it's okay. It all worked out. Worked out.
Totally. But like, again, like you said, this is creator driven. Whether you like Gunn or not, this is freedom. It's even more freedom because he's doing it for HBO Max instead of Warner Brothers, right? This is an HBO Max property, so you don't have to worry about Emmerich or Hamada or any of those guys digging their hands into it, even though it seems like they've been hands off with him for the Suicide Squad. And I go back to the Fandom footage, it still looks awesome. Still intrigued by that film. And I honestly feel that the reason this is happening is because, there have been whispers, nothing official, that test screenings have gone very well for that film.
Well, this is a sign of that. More than any of those whispers,
so, yes.
This is a sign of confidence in what James Gunn has done.
Absolutely, and that's ultimately why I think it's happening. So there's that. And then I mentioned earlier that Ryan Reynolds, the whole Green Lantern thing is the rumor is back in play because it was speculated by some others in total rumored speculation that he would potentially be playing Hawkman in Black Adam. We now know for certain that is not going to be the case.
Right.
Because Aldis Hodge. Now, the story says that he's in talks to play Hawkman. If you look at his Instagram, he's already accepted it as it's happening.
Excellent. I did not know that.
His Instagram is already like I'm proud, thrilled to work on this, excited to be a part of it. For people who don't know Aldis Hodge, I would say that probably his biggest thing right now is Leverage. He was in 5 seasons of Leverage, which was a TNT show with Timothy Hutton and Beth Riesgraf and a number of others. A really awesome show. But he was in Underground, which was a WGN show, went on for 2 seasons about the Underground Railroad. He was in that show with Jurnee Smollett. They were both in that show. And most recently, he was in The Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss, which is a movie I haven't watched yet. A ton of people have told me I need to watch it, including Scott. It's on HBO Max right now. Might be one of the movies I watch in the next couple of days. But that's the most recent thing he's been in. I've also seen him in short treks for Star Trek on CBS All Access. He was in an episode of that called Calypso, which was a really cool short treks episode that he did. If we want to go way back, as a child actor, he was in Die Hard with a Vengeance. As a child actor, one of Samuel L. Jackson's kids, actually, in that movie is who he was way back when. But yeah, Hawkman for Black Adam. So that's cool. I know Tim had mentioned that he said that he had talked in our group chat about how casting for news for Black Adam had kind of gone dry, and I was like, I don't know that it went dry. They're starting to.
I mean, we just had the Atom Smasher news not that long ago.
Right.
I would disagree with this assessment there, but it is still cool to get casting news. I mean, absolutely. I mean, Hawkman, of all the other JSAers, that's the one I most wanted to know who was going to play him. I'm not overly familiar with him. I only know Aldis Hodge from 1 or 2 scenes of The Walking Dead because he played a relatively minor part in Michonne's Denai Guerrera, her background, her pre-zombie apocalypse story. And so that I only know him from that. I don't know him from anything else, but I'm excited to find out who's playing Hawkman. I'm excited to see Hawkman. Now I'm like, let's see how you do this costume, because this costume is one of those I feel like could be very challenging to translate and see just how they're going to do it. I want to see him fly. I want the helmet. I want the wings. I'm ready for the whole thing. Let's see it.
I'm with you. I'm very intrigued on how this movie is going to deal with costume design, and I'm also really intrigued on who Shiera is going to be. Mm-hmm. That's
I don't know that they're going to have her though.
Well,
didn't Dwayne Johnson say something like she was in part the plan originally, but things changed, so now she's not one of?
That I did not hear. I didn't hear him say that.
Maybe I'm confusing stories, or there's still plenty of time that the plans can change again because they haven't even started photography yet. Regardless, his presence means she could still be coming even in a future movie. So
absolutely. Well, because we know for a fact Justice Society. We know that's happening. We know that this movie is doing that. So yes, there is definitely the option for that. But yeah, and no, it's a cool bit of casting. I really didn't see any negativity around it. I saw praise. I saw people happy for this casting and excited for Aldis Hodge to become part of the DCEU. No, it's cool news. It's good news. And Black Adam, that's one that should have started filming already and was definitely delayed as a result of the pandemic. They're starting to get back into it. I know that The Rock and his family are recovering from COVID-19. But we know that Noah Centineo had been working out for it. We know that. He's been training last couple of months for it. So I would imagine that will be coming also for Aldis Hodge. And we'll start to hear. I think we're going to start hearing more production news on Black Adam. I think there is still that part of me that still parsing the end of this movie is happening. Black Adam is definitely happening. And it's just cool to get more news in that regard that is happening. So that's happy news. Unfortunately, as far as DC news goes, we will end on a bit more of sadder news, I suppose. Sadder for you and me, Brent. Maybe not for too much of our listening audience. It depends on who you are. But we did also find out that Supergirl will be ending its run at 6 seasons. This next upcoming season that is going into production will be the final season of the show. It will be 20 episodes, so it will not be like Arrow. It will not be a truncated season. It will be a full season. I mean, I think it's maybe 1 or 2 episodes shy of what they normally do. They normally
I'm pretty
do 22
sure
to 23.
20 was the episode count of season 1.
It was. Yes,
so
it was on CBS, yeah.
It matches the shortest season, but it is still 20 episodes. No, you're right. It's not truncated. I had very mixed feelings about this. Like, ultimately, I'm not that surprised. She just had a baby with her husband, Chris.
Just had a baby.
And I got the impression, but I didn't see anything definitively state that this was ultimately like Arrow, where Arrow was Stephen Amell's ultimate call, that this was her ultimate call. I didn't definitively see that, but that seems to be the speculation, and that's the impression I got from the various statements I read about it. Honestly, I thought Flash was next. I still think Flash is next now. It'll be third. I told my wife yesterday, I won't at all be surprised if by the end of this season we find out that this season is it for The Flash, or that they'll do what they did with Stephen Amell and they'll do like a 10-episode thing to wrap up. The difference is that had Crisis they were trying to do, and they're not going to have Crisis that they're trying to do. They're not trying some massive, huge crossover that's going to mix a whole lot of people together right now because of pandemic reasons. So, we don't have time to get into it today. Someday we will have to have this discussion. But I did tell you the other day, I feel my excitement for the DCCW this year, I will watch every second of it, but my excitement is not the same as it has been in years past. Arrow is gone, and if you force me to pick a favorite show, that's the one I would have gone with. The Batwoman recasting debacle, at least debacle in my opinion, because I still think that's the wrong call. I may end up loving the Ryan Wilder character, and I will be very happy to tell you if I do. But today, I think they made the wrong call. Flash was just terrible last year. If it wasn't Crisis related, or 1 or 2 other episodes. It just was not a good season. They ended horribly. Yeah, I know coronavirus screwed them, but you know what? It messed with the Batwoman plans. And before the Ryan Wilder stuff, Batwoman ended great. It messed with Supergirl plans. Supergirl ended great. I'm sorry that excuse doesn't hold a lot of water for me, that when these other shows were able to get it done and they weren't. And so I feel like with all this stuff, we still don't know about Green Arrow and the Canaries, a show I was very interested in. I am excited for Superman and Lois. Like that one show, like that show, yes, I'm very, very excited for. As a whole, it's not where it's been in the past. I can just feel it. It's a little sad to feel that way. Thankfully, we still got Black Lightning, which had a great season last year. Legends ended strong. There's definitely still content that I'm going to watch all of it. I'm watching it. If it's in the Arrowverse, I'm watching it. Obviously, there's Stargirl. It's just like right now, today, like Batwoman, Arrow's done, Supergirl. This is where I feel like it's like all this domino effects. I get the feeling that Grant Gustin's not going to be around much longer for it, based on a podcast he did with Michael Rosenbaum a while ago. So that's probably a longer conversation for another day, but it is where my head's at right now.
I think that DCCW fans it's an interesting time because, I saw a lot of consternation, and a lot of fingers being pointed and blame, like, oh, this is because of this or this is because of that. And I do feel that I do feel that the majority of this decision does come from Melissa Benoist.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she and Chris Wood are starting a new family. And I mean, when you say she just had her baby, we're literally talking this week.
Yeah.
This past week, she had the baby. We found that out. So, yeah, life has changed. Life has changed for her and for Chris Wood, she's in a different place, and people are in different places. And you got to look at it this way: the people, anyone that is upset about this, a lot of shows, like really good shows, DC shows even, don't get a season, let alone reach 100 episodes. And when this is all said and done, Supergirl will have had 126 episodes after season 6.
Heck of a run.
That is a massive win. The Swamp Thing fans can't say that. You understand? So I think that the Krypton fans can't say that.
No.
Right? So I really feel like a lot of people need to put this in perspective. And I think DCCW fans also need to put this in perspective. You have had 8 years of a great run. Mm-hmm. You have had 8 years of a massive universe that has produced countless crossovers, and I'm not just talking about Elseworlds and Crisis on Earth X and Crisis of Infinite Earths. I'm also talking about all the other times that Arrow popped up in Flash, or
right.
Flash popped up in Arrow, or members of them showed up on the Wave Rider, or vice versa. Like, this has been arguably the largest, most interconnected network of content. Actually, no, it's not arguable. If we're talking hours, it is the largest. It dwarfs the MCU in terms of pure content, in terms of hours. There is no other universe as interconnected and as crossed over as this one is. There just isn't. You've had an amazing run for 8 years,
and it's still not done, but it does feel like we're on the downward end of the slope
because the Godfather show Arrow has ended.
Yeah,
and now Supergirl is ending. Yes, I do agree with you. I do think Flash is next.
Supergirl, a show that I once thought was going to become the new flagship show when Arrow ended.
And quite honestly, I do feel like, even though I think that the bulk of this Supergirl decision probably does come from Melissa Benoist, I also do think that there is a mindset of you're about to launch a show with your lead Kryptonian.
Yeah.
And when I say lead Kryptonian, I don't mean the DCCW's lead Kryptonian. I mean DC's lead Kryptonian.
Brainiac's favorite Kryptonian. Superman.
Exactly. Right. So,
yep.
that would be a conundrum that you're now going to avoid, because it's almost like a baton is being passed. Supergirl will have carried that torch for 6 seasons, and she will actually hand it off to Superman, and his show, depending on how that goes, depending on how that runs, could end up, it'll be that, because I've heard a lot of the stuff, Brent, I've heard from people are like, well, now what does that Justice League table mean now in
a lot
Crisis?
Less, frankly. I think it means less. But
I mean,
I really feel that way, and like they were setting up Kara and Kate to be the new Barry and Oliver, and that's going to feel like the one that got away because but that was already the case. As soon as Ruby Rose left, we were never going to get that.
Yeah.
Right now, my biggest hope is 1, enjoy the last season. 2, I would like the Martian Manhunter to survive the season, so we have an opportunity, a potential for him to pop up elsewhere. He would be the one character, like, not the only character I would like to see be on the show, but the character I most want to see be on the show. So
that'll be intriguing too, to see if any of, like, if Martian Manhunter or Lena or Dreamer or Brainy, like those 4 in particular, to see if they do pop up on other shows, or even Alex, depending on how the final season goes. It will be very interesting to see if this franchise, the entirety of this universe has precedent for that. We have seen actors jump shows and go to other shows. That is a thing that this universe does. Most certainly could do that. That will be, but it's a transition. But I would say to anybody that is feeling overly down about this is enjoy the 8 years that you have had of the DCCW. And I say 8 years because that's how long it's been around. You know, it coincides with Arrow. But, like, enjoy the 8 years that you've had because so many others haven't had a fraction of this.
Right.
And can enjoy a franchise as interconnected and as massive as this is. And whatever happens to it, if this is ultimately the end of it, if by the time, you know, we get into 2021 and all we've got is, like, Black Lightning and Legends and Superman and Lois.
Yeah, and if Batman...
You know,
they're starting year 9. They're starting year 9 of the Arrowverse. It is not impossible to see them getting all the way even to year 15. Because if Superman and Lois is successful, or if any other shows spin off, anything else comes about, they're not going to just up and quit this universe. You know, it's not anytime soon. So it just... Today, that's where my head's at. Today, I'm feeling a little down about it.
I gotcha.
So
I understand.
It's weird, and I know I'm not alone with that. No, I'm not celebrating Supergirl. I wish Supergirl was sticking around, but that's where I'm at. But I feel like that's probably a good place to leave it this week. We'd love to hear any feedback you guys might have. You can email us at borderlessfans@gmail.com.
And we're also on Twitter. I'm at the Flightcast.
I'm at Brent Prime. The show is at Borderless Fans.
And as always, you can find us and the other shows in our network at squadcastmedia.com.
See you later.
Take care, guys. Stay safe out there.